Say hello, Bourbon Quest. It's Q. Say hi, Q. Hi, Q. Alright, it's day 4 of the Advent calendar. We have Q here. Say hi, Q. Say hi, Bourbon Quest. It's your bourbon mascot, Q. So, it's day 4 of the Advent calendar. We're going to get into the whiskey here in just a minute. It's Old Ezra. Aged 7 years. Charcoal mellowed Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. And it's 117 proof, cask strength, whatever. You know, a couple of concerning things I have about this bottle. Number one, and we'll see if anything's changed, is I don't think it's good. And I went back and looked before shooting the video. I bought the last bottle I bought of it, and I've got like 2 or 3 more of these. And the last time, well, the first time I bought it, I paid $70 for this, and it's not good. And kind of what, number one, I had it open on my shelf, and probably not one I would have chosen to do on the Advent calendar, other than today when I was at Total Wine here in Knoxville, they had it out, and they actually had it maybe just a couple months ago, and it was like 80 something bucks or something, and I was like, good Lord, it wasn't even worth 70. And then today, 2 or 3 months later, it was listed at $99.99 at Total Wine here in Knoxville. $100 for this. And I remember, I think early on when I started my Bourbon Quest, it was right around $45 or $50. Might have been worth it at that. Definitely wasn't worth it on the price I originally paid just a year ago, $70. And then I was shocked when I saw it 2 or 3 months ago at 80 something bucks, 85 or whatever it was. And then today, and granted, Total Wine's not known for jacking prices up, pretty much. Yeah, a few exceptions here and there. They might charge a slight premium on it, but pretty much they sell everything at MSRP, even the allocated stuff. And when I saw this at Total Wine for $100 today, I was like, yeah. Another thing about it is, if you go back and watch other videos I've done on the Old Ezra 7, is that it's 7-year-old whiskey. It is barrel strength at 117 proof. But the other thing that's concerned me about all the Old Ezra products, which is Lux Row, is that it says here on the bottle, distilled and aged in Kentucky for Lux Row Distilleries, Bardstown, Kentucky, not by. So this is apparently sourced most likely from Willett, potentially could be Heaven Hill, but I think it's more likely Willett, because it's not, I mean, it says right here on the bottle, distilled and aged in Kentucky for Lux Row Distilleries, not by, but for. Let me know what's your thoughts on this Bourbon Quest. Do you think this is worthy? I mean, I know it's allocated, but I think this is one of the lower, probably one of the lowest values as far as any allocated product. Obviously, you know, your probably most value for allocated products is Buffalo Trace. Granted, if you get them at MSRP, which usually places like at Total Wine or whatever you can, but I know outside of your big box liquor stores, getting Buffalo Trace at MSRP is scarce. And even like at big box stores like Total Wine, while you can get them at MSRP, they still don't, I mean, they get a decent amount of allocation, but as soon as they put them out on the shelf, they're gone. So usually, typically, for most Buffalo Trace stuff, outside of your, like when they get their just regular Buffalo Trace, it might last 3-4 days or whatever, but anything outside of your just regular, but even those are limited to 1 per customer. Granted, they're like $25 for your 750 milliliter bottle of Buffalo Trace, 49 or 51 for the 1.75. But outside of that, whether it be Eagle Rare, Willet, or not Willet, but Weller Special Reserve, a 107, and now even Blanton's is only allocated in their lotteries. But your Colonel Taylor small bats, your Eagle Rare, your Weller 107, and Special Reserve, even at a place like Total Wine, unless you're pretty much in the store when it's put out, it's gone. So, but I mean, that just really turned me off. I mean, I was already turned off on this product before today, but now that it's creeped up to $100, you gotta be kidding me. Well, let's see. What do you think, Q? We're gonna pour this whiskey. It is day 4 of the Advent calendar. We'll take a little bit, but let me know what your thoughts and comments on old Ezra. Unless something drastically changes, I'm not a fan. But we're also doing Q's Advent calendar from Trader Joe's, so it is day 4, Q. Let's see what your treat is. Let's see. Let me find day 4 on here, buddy. There's 2. We already did that. Oh, there's day 4. Don't go anywhere. It's day 4. I just gotta get it open. Alright. I don't know if this is like the 3rd one in a row that looks exactly the same as the others. At least all my whiskeys are different. Of course, I don't taste them for a Q. I'll let him do that, but I do at least smell them to see if I think there's any differences. Q, look here. The smell tastes a little different. Smells like a Tootsie Roll. Kinda. You want one? It's a cool calendar, but I would like to think they'd give him a little bit different variety in these treats. We'll let Q be the judge of that. Q, do you want to try your treats? Look. Well, they're right up here whenever you decide you want to look into them. Alright, let's go back. I know you're here for the whiskey. Hopefully Q will take part in his treats here in a minute. I mean, the nose is decent on this for a 7-year-old barrel age, but it noses under its 117 proof. I mean, it's still probably, noses more like between 101 to 105. I mean, there's nothing special on the nose. Color's decent. Not a lot of legs on it. Yeah, not a lot of legs at all on it. I don't know. Underwhelming if you want to pay $100. I mean, I think I overpaid at 70. Cheers, Bourbon Quest. Actually, the legs are coming through a little bit more now, but the palate is actually decent on this. It definitely drinks hotter on the palate than it did on the nose. It did have some decent viscosity on it and mouthfeel. It is actually better than I remember it. I mean, the nose is okay. It's actually nosing a little bit hotter than it did on the second nosing of this than the first. But not a lot of complexity on it. I mean, your simple vanilla, caramel, a little bit of chocolate. slight bit of fruit, like orange, cherry. Like, honestly, the nose is decent. The palate, surprisingly, is better than I do remember it. Let's try again. I mean, and some of this might be the bias of knowing where it was just a couple years ago, around 45, 50 bucks, to where it is now. It's definitely not worth $100. And I would have said previously, I don't even think it was worth 50 to 60 bucks, but I am going to amend that. I'm going to say that maybe that's part of the bias too, is that I definitely don't think it's worth $100. You know, having been a little while since I've had this, and maybe it's gotten a little bit of airtime and everything, that I could still see, especially with it being allocated, it's even outside of that, because I didn't even think I would say that, is that I do think between 50 to 60 bucks I can live with. And it might be I could live with it. Would I highly recommend it? No, I'd probably maybe give it more like a thumb sideways, like try before you buy, which that's probably not going to happen with any allocated product. But you could taste it at a bar and decide if it fits, you know, your palate, your profile. And if it does, I think it's okay at 50 to 60 bucks. Honestly, outside of 60 bucks, there's just too many other things that are much, not the proper grammar, but much better. Whether it be, you know, right around that $50 to $70 range, a Jack Daniel's barrel proof, single barrel proof, a Four Roses small batch select, Kentucky or Wild Turkey rare breed. I mean, and again, it's not even produced by Lexro according to the label on the bottle. Cheers, Bourbon Quest. Alright, these advent calendars are meant to be kind of short and sweet, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot more time rambling on this. It's just highly disappointing and frustrating to see in a year's time from a bottle that I don't think is exceptional. It is better than what I remembered from before. And I think, again, if you tried it at a bar or whatever and liked it, it probably is worthy between that $50 to $60 price point based on where whiskey is today. But it is nowhere near $100. I mean, that's freaking ridiculous. Alright, I said enough about that. So, we're going to try and wrap this up before I go on a freaking rant on this old Ezra. Is that, go ahead and subscribe. Let's ramp those subscriptions up. Thank you, all of you, for subscribing, watching, commenting, liking. But definitely subscribe, and then do yourself a favor and ring that bell for notifications. That way you don't miss a damn thing here on Bourbon Quest. This is only day 4, so we got plenty to go. And I don't know if there'll be a whole lot of pop-up videos between now and Christmas other than the advent calendar. But I do know of one bottle I should be getting in a little over a week from now. That's supposed to be being, well, I won't say any more about that. But hopefully we'll bring that to the table within a week and a half, thereabouts, as a pop-up. allocated uncorking, unpopping. Haha, cute. You've not even touched any of your treats. Do you not like it? Or are you just nervous about being on camera? Alright. Hey, subscribe, ring that bell, smash that like button, leave a comment. I'm done with old Ezra. Unless it comes back down to 50 to 60 bucks. I got this one. I think I probably have at least 2, maybe 3 more. Which I'm not going to say I'm happy about. But because I didn't even think it was initially on my last video or whatever that it was even worth that. But with a little bit of airtime, it's opened up. It has gotten better. If I could purchase, you know, how it feels and comes off to me now between 50 and 60 bucks, I'd probably do it again. Maybe. It's not a definite, because again, around that $60 to $70 point, there's at least a dozen that I would choose over this. Old Forester 1910, Old Forester 1920, Kentucky or Wild Turkey Rare Breed, Four Roses Small Batch Select, Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof, a Nulu. I mean, yeah, that's a half dozen right there, and I could, if I gave it a little more thought and time, I could pick another half dozen. So do not pay $100 for Old Ezra number 7. At most 60 bucks. Yeah, at most 60 bucks. And this last bottle, or this particular bottle, when I went and looked that I bought just a year ago, I paid 70 for, and that was too much. So we gotta change the game on these allocated products. Do not be chasing this Old Ezra 7. It's not worth a fucking $100, bro. I'm telling you that right now. It's not. And that's the frustrating part about it, is because just a couple of years ago it was 45 to 50 bucks. Last year, what I paid at Total Wine just a year ago was 70 bucks, and now I saw it at Total Wine today for 100 bucks. And yeah, we gotta, if this continues for much longer, I'm just going back to getting under $30 bottles of Wild Turkey 101 and yeah, which is probably your best value in bourbon. Wild Turkey 101 for 24 bucks. And again, the Old Forester, Old Forester 100 proof, that's right around 24 bucks. And then hell, even Evan Williams Black Label for like 14 bucks. Granted, a little bit lower proof, but it's still freaking delicious. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm probably a little jaded tonight just because seeing this Old Ezra at 100 bucks rubbed me the wrong way. And we gotta change the game, Bourbon Quest, to where I even saw today here locally in Knoxville, a store, I will go ahead and say their name, MC's, which I have not been in for 3 years, because maybe 6 times I ever went into that store, anything allocated was 3 times MSRP or above. And that just goes to show you, they had a drop today for Weller Full Proof, which I think they were charging $165 for. on their single barrel store pick. Number one, if you go back and watch my videos when I did the 4 or 5 Weller lineup that I have, I want to say the full proof came in last, which granted I thought that was a mistake but I did it blind and I thought it would have been Weller full proof, Antique 107, 12-year and Special Reserve, but it was the exact reverse. When I did it blind, I actually chose the Weller Special Reserve first. Granted, they were all close, but that's the whole thing. You can get a fucking Weller Special Reserve for what, 25, 30, well, maybe 30 to 40 bucks. Irregardless. And I think MSRP on the Weller Full Proof is right around 70. Again, I get it. Most places you can't get it at. And a lot of people made a comment about the MC's drop here in Knoxville that they don't give a shit. They're willing to pay the $165 to get it because, and I do understand their point, because their time is more valuable than that price. In other words, they would rather pay $165 just to be able to go into the store, in and out in 5 minutes, pick it up and savor it for however long, versus having to go at 4 o'clock in the morning and wait in line for 6 hours to get it because their time is more valuable than that. And I get that. I totally understand that point. But at the end of the day, I just cannot bring myself to pay over 100% markup on an allocated product. And especially because I mean, it'll probably be on the advent calendar between now and Christmas, because I still got about 3/4 of a Weller full proof store pick that I have over there, but I paid $65 for it. And while it's good, it's not great. Well, it's not great. It might be above good, but when I did on blind, it finished last, and I chose. So this whiskey game's gotten crazy. All right, we got to wrap this up because I've gone on way too long, and Q's getting bored. Aren't you, Q? You getting bored? All right. Thanks for tuning in. If you made it this long, you might as well subscribe, ring that bell, leave a comment, let me know what you think. I'm done with old Ezra. Done. The only thing they have left in their lineup, which I'm still trying to get this year's version of, is their Blood Oath. Because I have a 6, I have 7, and I want to get 8, and we'll go from there. Alright, that's a wrap. Cheers, Bourbon Quest. And remember, most off, that my wish for you is that all your Bourbon Quest dreams come true. This video took way too long, but that was a wrap. Q, stay right there. I'm going to turn the camera off. Haha, that's a wrap, Bourbon Quest. Why you jump down so quick?